YouTube? It's Brian Phillips. We're gonna open this box right now. Excited to be bringing you something amazing, new, and exciting. We'll see. As usual, we unbox them, we build them, and then we set them up on our radio system, and you can follow along. If you're brand new to the hobby, we're gonna help get you from where you are to where you wanna be. And if you're an experienced pilot, hopefully we can answer some questions you might have before you buy stuff. Check out the links in the video description below. I have to move one piece of paper, and then I just have to do one of these where I look at it and say, oh yeah, look at this, it's a 330, all new from E-flite. Very cool. And yes, this is in the Jim Bork air shows trim livery, which is pretty sweet. This is a 1.3 meter. And some of you guys might have been wondering where the extra 300 went. Well, now you know.
It went here, apparently.
So we're gonna unbox this right now. We're gonna set it up, and then we're gonna fly it before your very eyes. You may have already seen the maiden flights because we publish these videos separately on the long format that we do here on YouTube. So if you like the long format, make sure you smash the like button. Click the bell for subscribing, for notifications when you do, because it will help us to offset. That looks really good.
I really like the orange and blue.
I know, it's really high vis.
Yeah.
I hope it's easy to see, but it's gonna help us to offset the issues we have with Google and the recommendations engine that they have running right now. Their algorithm looks really sweet. Just checking for more angles here. Of course, this comes with AS3X and safe. And so, of course, with safe, you can use sensor-assisted flight envelope, or you can use AS3X. Now, just to be clear, AS3X Plus is available right now, but this one is one of the last releases that doesn't actually come out of the box that way. So if you decide to use AS3X Plus, just make sure you're gonna have to go through the process of turning it on. Okay, so we're gonna show it as is. And if there's AS3X Plus, which just adds some additional features, you could automatically get that on your transmitter right now. If you have an NX10, you don't have to get the NX10 Plus, which is the new version. It's exactly the same as far as I know, except for the software's been updated. And then of course you have like a different emblem here, okay? So you're still gonna have the 20 channels on the 10. Guys, there's a reason I was recommending the 10 for a long time. And it wasn't just because I knew about the software update. We didn't know about it, but it's really a good one. So 20 channels on this. Even the NX7 is up to 14 channels. We've been recommending the 7E for people that have tight budgets, and the 10. Why do we want the 10 over the 8? There's one reason, and I just want to point this out now as we're talking about it. When you look at the difference between the 8 and the 10, the difference you might see that you might need is gimbals. But the thing is, the biggest thing is buttons, okay? Button switches. If you had a 6, you also can go up to the more channels, but you're gonna lose that R knob, so the rolling knob, and then the sliders, okay? So if you go to the 8, you're gonna miss that, okay? So just in terms of controllable channels. Now that being said, you might want additional channels for other control features. You can use that on the 8 without having the sliders, okay? So the reason we promote and push the 10 is not just because that's what I'm on right now, but because I used to have a DX18, and I personally never exceeded 10 channels on that. I think I only got up to 10 one time. There's a reason, okay? So we'll walk you through the process. That's what we do here on Brian Phillips RC. Of course, there's gonna be some subjectivity, and so we hope it all makes sense to you guys. But when we unbox these, we basically show you exactly what we think about it. This is not Horizon Hobbies opinions. This is not E-flite's opinions. This is our opinions, unadulterated. And if it sucks, we're gonna tell you that. Generally speaking though, E-flite does a really good job. We don't have a lot of problems with their products, and Horizon does a great job. There's a reason that they're one of the biggest, because they do a great job. And the smart technology is amazing. I love thrust reverse. I don't even know if we're gonna have thrust reverse. Of course, this is 3 or 4S capable, but I believe the old one would have been. Super excited to see this. Look, they didn't fold the manual. That's always nice. One of the biggest reasons you're gonna like Horizon is because they have good manuals. But I gotta say, if you got Brian Phillips RC, you don't need no stinking manual, because we'll probably read the 2 or 3 things that you really need to know. Okay, so slid out, actually went pretty smooth. Super excited to be able to bring you these brand new releases, folks. And of course, it's an honor and a privilege, but also a big responsibility because we many times have tight deadlines. So if you weren't already aware, we will be releasing this video in just a couple of days. We're fortunate to have a couple days more than some of our peer competitors. And so we're lucky in this case, but sometimes we're on the flip side of that coin. I can tell you that from personal experience. So we're gonna cut this without further ado, get it opened up, and you can see it's dark out, so we're not gonna be flying right away, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything to you guys because you'll be watching this on separate videos anyway, so we'll just cut these. One of the reasons that I really appreciate this model right now is because we've been trying to liquidate some of our inventory in the basement, and I've been packing planes from scratch, and it is just terrible to have to do it. So watching a perfectly engineered packaging job
Amazing.
just makes me smile inside, especially today, because of course our planes are like half built, and certain times you have to glue stuff together. And anyway, so
Not so fun.
if you guys are following along on Brian Phillips RC, we've been doing an aerodrome. And so we've been working like crazy right now. We're getting some of the necessary projects done and out of the way, if you want to call it, so that we can get ready for the damn gift shop, which is going to be huge, huge. Okay, so as we continue, I'm just going to break into this wing right now. It's the first one we get out of the package. Look at that monster control arm on
I know,
there.
I was noticing that
It
already.
is huge. Metal Gear servos all around. This is the E-flite 23-gram Metal Gear servo, no less. Now, I also want to point out the fact that this is a singular aileron. Don't know if it's going to work as a flap run. I kind of assume it will. And this is, of course, we've got the name here, which is pretty sweet on the leading edge. A little hard to read. Of course, the wing chord and shape might be just a little bit different than a real full scale, but they try to keep them really similar. Okay, so you're going to notice there is a receiver here for the carbon fiber spar, one aileron cable, and then this little recess. So when these get mounted, you're going to have screws to receive. Now, some of you that are brand new to flying RC, or you're just coming back, you're like, hey, we used to have balsa wood. What is with all this foam? It seems cheap and crappy. Well, let me tell you something, guys. This is not foam. This is foam, carbon fiber, plastic. This is not carbon fiber, but this would be fiberglass. Obviously decals, embedded hinges here, here, and here. So, and then this is reinforced all the way through to the top. So really what you see is there's carbon fiber inset into this wing here. And when you slide this up next to a light, you can see there's also reinforcements in other spots. And it looks like we've got mostly this one. And then this is a telltale sign when you see these little cutouts. 1, 2, 3. So it goes out to this far, and then this one goes this way. You can see right there, there's carbon fiber that's put into the jig when they're making this. And so you end up with an incredibly stiff wing, a little teeny bit of give. And I'm strong, I can break this in half if I wanted to, but it's got a lot of strength and a lot of resiliency. And so as you look at that, you've got tons of strength. And that's coming from a basis for comparison, which you're thinking if it's foam, it can't be that strong. Trust me, it's strong. Okay, so without further ado, and again, speaking to the newer pilot, if you're new to this and you don't know what's expected, you can see right here, this is the other half, and look how that works. Boom, overlap.
Oh, nice.
Pretty sweet. So as you can see, 23-gram Metal Gear servo, very nice. E-flite branded, and it looks like we're gonna have to bring these out together and screw this together. So we might have to check the manual just to see how this goes. Now you'll notice this isn't even all the way out. It looks like they have 3 bigger holes and then the rest are smaller. So you're gonna have a lot of throws, ball links. Now, if you're wondering why we have a ball link here, it seems to me like we could get away with just a Z-bend on there. Well, those ball links allow for crispy, nice maneuvering, and they won't bind because of the angle of that Z-bend, okay? So that little bit of hesitation at the end of the stroke can cause problems, especially in 3D environments. So of course, this being a 3D plane, you wanna definitely have a clear stroke and not have problems with that. Plus, it allows for just a better install. You also are gonna notice you don't have to do it.
Yay.
I noticed that because I've built hundreds of these planes. Speaking of carbon fiber, you can always hear the difference. Very twang and also incredibly light. Look how thin the sidewalls are on that. Very thin. Don't lick it. Look at this.
Wasn't planning on it.
That thing is so strong. It's crazy how strong these things are. And I already know where this goes, so I'm just gonna stuff it in the hole. There it is, okay? And so when we're ready to put this in, that's gonna slide through and we'll just pull the 2 wires out. So very easy. Normally the builds come at the end of the unbox, but I just want to show you just how nice it is. The packaging, the foam to protect the foam from the foam is one of the best things about the packaging, enterprise and hobby product. Even the ultra micros have plastic to protect the foam from the foam. And I say that kind of facetiously and I'm joking around, but the truth is I'm kind of not, because the packaging is good. Look how big this package is. Not very big compared to the plane. There's barely any room here and barely any room here wasted. They quite literally go to the edge of the box.
Yeah.
That's a good thing, guys. That translates to money in your pocket because they didn't spend it on the freight carriers, okay? So remember that when you open a Dynam the next time, okay? Twang, strong. That's stronger than the other one, and it's smaller diameter. That's gonna be, of course, for the tail feathers, which are incidentally here. Just remember, guys, when you see efficiency in model building, think of it like this. Efficiency generally translates to one of two things. Either higher profit margins for the company, higher quality for you, savings for you, or savings for them, or some conglomeration of the two, okay, or four rather, okay? In our case, I'm just glad to see that they're making the right maneuvers. Embedded hinges, beautiful. Really nice decals. These decals are not like a one piece, so you can feel that. Feel that with your fingernail. See that? See what I'm talking
they are
about?
separate, yeah.
So this is clear, okay? And that's to keep that from buzzing, but then this feels like, yeah, it's right to the edge, so that's beautiful. And then this is jig painted and then decal applied, okay? So really nice. And when I say decal, I mean, that looks like, oh, look, they don't have a sharp point on there. Look how close that color match is.
Yeah,
that is insanely good.
Amazing.
So anybody who knows how hard it is to color match stuff can get an appreciation from that, okay? So same thing there. And then look at the sweep here. Look at this. Look how perfect that is, these gaps. Guys, what I'm saying is, and I don't mean to fawn over something that's not really that critical, but let's just talk about this. Look at this. Look at the details we're getting now. So good compared to what we got. Now, I'm not to saying that the other manufacturers aren't doing any of these good things, but I can definitely say this. It's almost always E-flite. It's almost always Horizon pushing the envelope on the best features. You wanna know why? Because they're big and they have the budget to do it.
Yeah.
Like them or hate them, they're pushing the advancements. So as long as we keep voting with our dollars and cents, they're gonna keep doing it. There's a lot of easier ways to make a buck than making RC airplanes, okay? It is a highly regulated, litigious society we live in, and making airplanes are complicated.
Well, and we've said it before, so many of the guys at Horizon, they fly these planes themselves. Like, they know what they want.
Look at this, not even CA hinges. I love the American flag,
Cool.
Beautiful. And I actually really like this color scheme, this is cool. A little bit of loose jigging there, see that? But then this is taped. And it's nice because from a distance, you can't even tell the difference. And I think this color scheme is nice. It's beautiful, it's real. I like scale, I'm a sucker for scale planes. And so of course we got the scale appearance here. And okay, so we'll continue. Wood prop, always love the wood prop.
My favorite.
Yep, one of my favorite features. The only thing I don't like about wood props is when I have a prop strike on the ground, you're more likely to ruin the prop. Well, I guess to be honest with you, pretty easy to ruin a prop if you hit it on something at full rotational speed. 13.6, and then it looks like they have like a sticker on there. What the heck is that? But look at the varnish on there. That's
it's
so
really nice.
Beautiful. And it's so light. Feel how light it is.
I know, that's amazing.
So cool.
That's super pretty.
Okay, so then the spinner comes out. Now guys, this is one of those areas that's so weird that I would even care about this. Because to be honest, I probably won't care once it's built, but look at the color match. Look how perfect that matches.
I love the match.
Plastic is solid, not painted. Not painted. Why do we care if it's painted? If it's painted, it scrapes. If it scrapes, it looks fugly. And when it looks fugly, you're embarrassed. And then you have to explain to people what the heck happened to that plane and why is there a giant scrape. Also, speaking of, pretty good color match, maybe not quite as perfect as the prop because this is glossy and that is matte, okay? These are wheel pants. Rock hard tires, what the heck? I assume those were not gonna be rock hard, but they are upgraded landing gear, a little bit sturdier, a little nicer looking. We've got a flat, beautiful finish. Look at this metallic shine.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
So this, I almost wish it would have gone with something white or something, you know, but this is a real livery, so they have to try to match it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the color match is a little bit worse there. It was just fawning on how good the spinner looked.
And I think it's just because the gloss versus
Gloss is
more matte.
the metal. But I mean, compared to this metallic finish, it's pretty stinking sweet.
Yeah.
How the heck did they get this on there? Oh, they slipped it on and then they finished it. I'm gonna cut this off as part of the unbox build radio setup. So guys, if you're brand new to Brian Phillips RC, what we do here is we unbox, build, and radio set these things up in real life, in person, right now. It's not short form. It's not, hey, look how great it is, buy it from the link. It's, did it really go together? Did we have problems? Were there complications? Was it hard? Did we have trouble getting the screws in? These are the types of things that we're gonna find in an unbox build radio setup, and it's gonna be articulated to you as clearly as we can with regard to transparency, but also at the end of the day, we are encouraging you to consider this product, because if you buy it from the links in the video description below, you will support us financially. But I'm gonna just tell you this right now, and this is true for every plane we do. And just give them a quick scan of the room if you're brand new to Brian Phillips RC. This is just what we've done in the last couple of months, guys. This is not what we've done in the last couple of years, okay? We have done probably 10 times this in the last 10 years. It's been a long road. And I love RC. My wife, she tolerates RC. So if we look at this, guys, so at the end of the day, we don't care which one you pick. We want you to know what you're gonna get.
We want you to buy the right thing for you at the right time.
The right thing, the right plane, at the right time for the right reasons so that you're not disappointed.
Yep.
And really, to be honest with you, that should help the manufacturers too. Even if we dissuade somebody that's a potential customer, if they're the wrong customer, that's one thing that's really important to us, is that we're trying to help people get into the right planes at the right time for the right reasons. Because if you get the wrong person involved at the wrong time for the wrong reasons, rock hard tires, what the heck?
We've had that.
Then what's gonna happen is, you're gonna end up being a one and done.
Yeah.
And we are helping to try to prevent one and dones. That's one of our principal missions, is to get people out of the chair and into the air, okay? Remember the beer trucks around the corner? Don't get struck, okay? Tomorrow's not guaranteed. These are all true statements. If you're just coming back to the hobby, there's a lot to learn. And like, nobody ever explains this stuff. They just assume you know it all. Well, I don't know it all, and I'm embedded in this. I live this. So I'm always learning new stuff, and I'm sure you are too, but the truth is, when you're coming from a 15-year hiatus, there's gonna be a lot you have to learn. We're gonna get you there. It's gonna take more than one video, I promise you that. But we're gonna get you there. Just keep watching, like, subscribe, do the things that you would do if you found something that you liked about chainsaws or about leaf blowers or weed whackers. No, we do those too.
Yes. But we've had that conversation twice this week about getting people in at the right spot, picking the right plane.
I'm caught on something.
What?
You see this? Look, give them a shot from over here. Look at this. Mine is caught on the bottom here, okay? So I'm gonna have the camera crew pull on this just a little bit. I don't wanna damage the plane. Okay, you can let go. I got it.
Okay.
It was just catching the edge, and I gotta say, that looks sweet.
That's really cool.
Okay, so absolutely gorgeous. We've got the pseudo-Chinese pilot, as you can see here. Knife Edge Software, Flight Axis, Extreme Aerosports, Paul Bulldog Project, the US Unlimited Aerobatic Team, the IAC, International Aerobatics Club, the EAA, which of course the Experimental Aircraft Association. Very cool. And then you can see right here, we've got another 23-gram Metal Gear servo. So now, guys, make no mistake, just because there's a metal output shaft in your servo does not mean it's a good servo. Okay? E-flite makes a mean servo, okay? It's good. But I just want to warn you, sometimes the competitors are a little bit less than clear about what Metal Gear means. You can put a Metal Gear output shaft, and you could have plastic everywhere else. And then the drivetrain that's running all the output shaft that's made of metal are plastic, and they'll strip. I cannot believe manufacturers do it. We've never found an E-flite that does that. And to be honest, we haven't had a lot of problems with plastic gear servos. So sometimes I think the Metal Gear servo is a little bit overkill, but it just depends on what you're doing. And these 3D surfaces are big, agile, and fast. So it's a good thing we have Metal Gear servos. We don't have to worry as much about premature failure, okay? So if you're in the market for a 3D plane, this might be exactly for you, okay? If you're not in the market for 3D planes, this is not your cup of tea. All you need to do is navigate over to Brian Phillips RC, and I just dropped a bunch of stuff, and I don't know if it was supposed to be on camera, so let me double check on this and I'll come right back. Okay, so that was some stuff that was supposed to be in-house stuff, and I don't think it had anything to do with this plane, it just got misplaced. All right, guys, so continuing along, obviously the build is gonna be pretty easy. Look at the piece count. We've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 if you count the nut and bolt sack, and that's having separated out the spinner. That is a really low piece count. If you look right here, amazing 17, sorry, because I forgot the fuse. So absolutely gorgeous. Let's show you inside the fuse right now. Also, let's give you a quick look around at the bottom too. We've got this exhaust port, okay? Looks like that might have seen a little bit better days. I'm not sure if that was just from me laying it down. Oh, look at this. Oh, love it. AR631 installed, ready to rock and roll. And yes, this does have Avian ESC and all that, so this drops in. I don't know why it goes forward, but that should be well protected from wind. I just always thought it was smart to make them open the other way. Shouldn't be a problem. This one, I'm glad it opens this way. Ooh, nice big canopy. Nice, love it. IC3, so you do have the capability of plugging in a smart battery, but it doesn't look like we have a smart line here, so we don't need that. First thing to cut off will be this. Assuming this flies on 2200 to 3200, 3 or 4S. Don't have to worry about taking off the canopy, which is nice, okay? Also, if you look right here, you can see we have a really heavy duty setup here for the motor. And I like that this stuff is accessible, good place for cooling, the ESC, and of course, big functional inlets that actually do suck air into the fuse. And then there should be a couple of exit holes here, which is really nice. If you don't have exit holes, then the airflow is not gonna actually get out of the plane, so it's sort of a waste of time. You're just gonna have this like little low pressure system. Okay, so the build is gonna go really quick, so we're gonna get a plane stand. If you guys don't have a plane stand, I'd highly suggest using something a little like this. Not married to this concept. If you guys see tools on this channel that you wanna buy, help support us as you advance in the hobby ranks, look no further than BrianPhillipsRC.com, which is gonna get you in front of things like supplies. At the top, there's a link, it's gonna take you there. You can also go to bprc.me, same exact thing, but it's a short link, so if you're trying to type it into your URL, it's much easier to do that. Okay, all right, so first things first, we can look in the manual if you want. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I showed this other servo. I showed the opposite side. Same size, huge linkage. Look at that, control output. This one's shorter, okay?
Oh, yep.
Because it has to fit under the elevator. So there is a little bit of work involved in this because we have to figure out how this goes. So I'm not sure exactly how that goes. I'm assuming we're gonna have to glue that in. And just so you guys know, the EPO models, I believe this one's made of EPO, is getting to the point now where you could pretty much use CA if you want. I like to use China glue, whether that be a mucilage-based product like Hobby King offers, or if you use something from a competitive offering. FMS has some pretty good China glue, but we really like foam to foam too. It's been a great product. We've had good luck with it. And compared to the competitors' offerings, they come in about the same price. So no matter which brand you use, we have had good luck with all of them, except for mucilage from Hobby King. We have had, and that's not to beat them up. We've had some tubes that came dried out. And this one, they're both aluminized tubes. This is the Chinese offerings. This one has a pre-cut tip, and it's also a UK-based product, so it does give you all the catch yourself on fire and don't breathe it warnings, okay? We don't get that on the China glue, so. No. Which is nice. If you're gonna use CA, just as a heads up, the CA is gonna be fast acting. You can get a foam safe CA. I'm just gonna show you the difference in tips. I like BSI, Bob Smith Industries. There's nothing wrong with using the products that are offered by Horizon, but we use this stuff, okay? So when you're looking at these, the purple tip, and this is just whatever brand we bought it from at the time. Instaset, this is like Kicker. I have my Pringles lid here so I can hold the little tip piercers, because then I always have to clear my tips when I'm using this stuff. This would be a thin, so you see it's all runny. That's foam safe. Black tip would be a medium, so it's just like this except foam safe. I'm guessing dollars to donuts you could get away with a non-foam safe. This is also called low odor, okay? Because it has inherently a slower chemical reaction, which is kind of weird. Oh, this is thin, but the thick would be a slower chemical reaction. And anything that says foam safe is also known as low odor. So we have links to that in the supplies tabs. So just depending on what you like to use, foam to foam is probably what I'm gonna lean toward. And by the way, if you don't like China glue because you're like, I don't want no stinking China glue, I want CA. Well, just remember, these things are all China glued together, okay? So don't give me that. China glue is what they use, and China glue is good, okay? All right, so getting back to the build, there are instructions. They're in the book. It's also known as a manual. We crack these open as infrequently as possible. So medium CA, as I mentioned, they suggest medium CA. I guess technically we could just use CA and be normal people. What do you think, camera crew?
I mean, you could, but...
If I've got the CA, foam safe CA, I'm gonna go ahead and use it, I guess.
Okay.
Because I don't really have a problem with using CA. It's just more a matter of, I always have to clear the tip. It's expensive. You see how this tip is closed?
Yep.
I haven't even cut it. You wanna know why? Because as soon as I cut it, I'm committed.
Do you have an open tip downstairs?
Here's the trick of the day, folks. Brian Phillips RC is full of trick of the days. This tip's already opened, okay? Trick of the day, watch this. Take this tip, break it off of here. And when I say break it off of here, I mean you gotta open it. I'm gonna show you what I do because I'm a cheapskate, okay? You might be a cheapskate too. And you may have a drawer full of tools, just like I do, in your kitchen.
In your kitchen.
Or a drawer full of lipos and chargers in your kitchen. You may have planes all over your kitchen. And if you're that lucky, high five. Psh.
Yeah, you wish.
That was not for the camera crew, by the way. So I'm just gonna break this off of here. Okay, so just get that started. Thanks to BSI for making that so hard. Okay, that's off now. Now watch this. Two ways to do this. One, you can take the tip off of this one and use it, or you can just quite literally take something that you don't mind sticking in to your glue bottle, like other kitchen products. And then you can just slather the glue onto here. This is usually my cue to spill the glue all over my wife's countertop, okay? If you're brand new to Brian Phillips RC, don't pretend like you haven't done it. I'm not an idiot. I know you have, okay? So 1, 2, and this is probably like where the manual would say, do not glue in place yet. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and do it anyway, because this is what we do. We build planes. We don't listen to no stinking instructions. If you want to keep CA from getting in that hinge, you can actually put some sort of a product over it, like a, what's that product we use downstairs, hon? That's white lithium grease.
Oh, yeah.
You can use white lithium grease. That would be a good option. I've already got a little bit it's on my fingers, so that's annoying. This is part of the reason why if you just cut your tip, like not a cheapskate, you can do it. And yes, I can't just hold it so you can see I have to hold it where the glue is going to go. Okay, you guys see how I front loaded that so that when I slide these in, it's going to purchase and then spread into the hole. Okay, so I just want to make sure that that leading edge is quite covered. And now I'm just going to throw that away. And normally I would want to cap this off.
Do you want me to hold
Yes, camera crew is just gonna hold this so I can literally put the cap on so that I don't destroy the rest of my glue. And usually this is a time where I will purge some of the air by squeezing it so that it's got a lower air level. Boom. So much more work when I could have just taken the foam to foam off, stuck it on there, let it sit for a few minutes. Now I'm gonna cram this in. So in order to cram this in, I gotta make sure that one's centered. And now this is probably the time where I'm gonna regret doing everything I just said. Okay, so I'm gonna slide this in. Camera crew, you good? Because I'm gonna have to be kind of committed to this at this point. Okay, so you guys see what's going on? I'm just using that to force that in. And then I need to get this one to obey my instructions. So it's like There we go. You see, I'm going at an angle. It's not super hard, but it's also would have been easier if I would have just like started with a plan. And then also would have been nice is if I had a dry fit at first. But as you can see, I'm just kind of forcing it in. And once you walk it, once you're started, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go most of the way in, and I'm going to stop for just a quick second. Now that I have super glue all over my fingertips, and I'm going to grab some Q-tips because I need to clean my ears out. No, I need to wick the little bit of residual here, and then the little bit of residual here on the hinge right before I cram it in the rest of the way, okay? And that's what I'm going to try to do if the glue isn't totally set up, which it was pretty darn close. Okay, so now the hinge is in there, and that is a huge gap. That is a huge gap. Now that's not a huge gap. So now I have not a huge gap. I have everything positioned appropriately, and you can tell that by this right there. Then I'm going to force this to both sides, and I'm going to work it back and forth a couple of times just to make sure I'm happy with my fitment. Okay, throw caution to the wind. There you go. Gap is perfectly even. That's what I'm going for. Okay, so now the next thing is I'm probably just realizing that this probably should have been mounted first, but that's okay because I'm going to figure this out, and it's going to be no big deal. See, look at that. That's why we don't read instructions, because come heaven or hell or high water, I'm going to get this thing built, and it's going to be easy. And we're going to help drag you through the process.
Yes.
We have a bag of screws. Now this bag, they used to give us labels, and the labels were really handy, except that they almost were always wrong. Okay, so let's talk about screw lengths. Camera crew, you want to work that while I put these glues away real quick?
We got 2.
So we should be done with the glue, right? Don't you think?
Yeah, we should be.
Okay. And by the way, if you guys ever have used CA and you haven't used Kicker, that stuff is awesome. It will set your glue so fast that you won't know what to do with yourself. And so in an application like we just did, it would be a terrible choice to use that because you don't need to use it, okay?
You don't need to use the Kicker?
No, because it's just, you want it to set up a little slower.
Right.
You know?
We have a lot of screws here. Okay.
So these are going to be almost certainly the ones we're looking for. You know, this is hard to see here. So we're going to have to get a white piece of paper someday. And those look like they're going to take the black screws. What do you think, camera crew?
Well, I suppose
okay.
We're going to have wing joiners. We're going to have
This is the
gear.
process of elimination, which avoids reading manuals.
What is the one little tiny silver one for? All by itself.
I don't know. That looks like something that'd be like a wheel pant thing. Some sort of a weird, super small thing. There's 6 that go on the wing. So these ones, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then there's 5.
One shorter one though.
That one's probably for the spinner then, I bet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are for the landing gear cover. This is for the wing. Okay.
Okay.
This is for the spinner.
Okay.
And then this is like the ambiguous one that nobody knows what it does.
So the 2 little black ones are going to be for here, probably.
That's what she said.
All right.
Okay, so there we go. So we're just gonna put these in now. Just throw caution straight to the wind. And here on Brian Phillips RC, we built so many of them that we could guess our way through most assemblies. There are certain times when it's really handy if you're brand new to the hobby, if you wanna confirm what you're hearing from me. But then also we're used to building these from Chinese manufacturers where we don't get any sort of good instructions. In fact, we usually get bad or counterproductive instructions. So one thing we will be getting on this one is the center of gravity. And of course that worked perfect. Okay, cool. So great. I do not know, and I don't want to lose that super small screw.
Yeah, I know.
But then also eventually we're going to need to set these into place. So we'll have to read the manual to figure out which hole to put this in. And so if you want to kind of look at this with me right here, you can see right here, eventually we're going to have to put this in. I'm assuming it's going to go into that one that's reamed out there. And this is going to go in and turn, and then it's going to actuate the rudder, okay? But we always wait to install these until the last minute because we can do that during radio setup and not tempt fate. Also, because we haven't identified the singular screw, I'm gonna put it over here because it's actually easier to see on that table. Okay. So the next process we're gonna do is we're gonna build this tail because we can. Normally, I guess we'd probably start with landing gear, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. As long as it gets together. Oh yeah,
we're here.
We shouldn't need a bind plug.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
What now?
We're already here, so we might as well finish the tail, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna, kind of hard to do that blind though. Okay, so this is plastic embedded in the foam. So we're gonna slide this in, okay? And this is where you wanna be a little bit careful so you don't damage and ding up your colors. Man, why did that, kind of wish I mean, it looks cool, but I kind of wish it wasn't painted that color there because that is gonna, you guys see how I did that? I rocked it on. Well, that's easy to do before you have your joiner rod here, your joiner, okay? Okay, so we'll slide this through, and then we want to get the elevators about even. Pretty simple stuff right here. This is going to be a super easy build, really.
Yeah, it is.
It's just the tail. That's probably the worst part, is putting that rudder on. And by the way, like I said, when you see manufacturers saving money by doing things like not having a tail installed, I like to see when it translates to a smaller box, because that means money in my pocket, that means holding down cost, that means efficiencies in the manufacturing process. But a lot of times when we see, you know, you have to mount these control horns, there's like no reason for it.
Right.
If there's a reason for it, I'm all for it. If there's not a reason, then it just annoys me, because I'm like, why am I doing what the manufacturer should be doing?
And that's a big rudder and an already pretty big box.
Yeah, I'm not really looking forward to plugging in the wing though. I do not know how that's gonna go.
Oh, well, we're not there yet.
We'll figure it out. Okay, so now we have to put 2 screws in here that are gonna hold that down. Now, it looks like to me, on this wing, we're gonna have 2 that hold the wing together, and then there's gonna be 4 that hold the wing on. But I'm trying to figure this out because it looks like, in fact, we have 2 here. You see? Mm-hmm. We slide this in, there's gonna be 4 screws, 4 bolts that hold the bottom assembly on. But then there's 2 that hold the top and the bottom together. So I'm trying to figure out where those go. So why don't we do that next, real quick. We can establish pretty obviously that this one is the outlier. So we know that one's more than likely gonna go with the spinner, so I'll put that over there. Okay. These are just gonna be our aileron cables. So we'll pull those kind of out of the way, just like this. Now, if you guys don't know what flaperons are of course gonna be like a flap and an aileron combination. They act together from the same control surface, and so they would run together to point down, or spoilerons together to go up. And then they continue to actuate left and right opposite, so that you create a roll effect, so you control the roll axis of the aircraft, okay? So when this gets ready to plug in, I'm trying to figure out how the heck are we gonna plug those wires in? It looks like this one receives screws here, and that holds it together. So does that mean we only need 2 screws to install it? We're gonna have to consult the manual.
We are going to, because you can't just slide that whole thing through.
I feel like I failed our audience.
I'm sorry.
That's where the little screw goes, guys, right there. We're gonna go put that on right now. That retains your tail dragger wheel, okay? So that's a retention screw. It's going to go on the other side. So over here, you see this? This little screw. It's gonna go in here, and then that's gonna hold so that your tail dragger wheel doesn't drop down. I'm glad that I looked in the manual, because I wouldn't have otherwise noticed that, and I probably wouldn't have cared until this thing came out, and then I'd be like, what the heck, why did it come out?
Just like that?
I would have said it just like that.
Yeah.
But all joking aside, guys, these, like, you're not supposed to put a screw in there, I guess, which I think is bizarro, but I'm guessing what's gonna happen is once this is in, the screw is gonna pass through and still act
as the backer
the same
plate?
way. Yeah.
Wow.
So we don't screw it together first. It's supposed to be like one wing in, then the other wing in, but I still think that's funky as heck. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this on next, which is what they suggest.
We have not screwed in the horizontal stabilizer though, so I just don't want to forget that.
Yeah, well, and that's what's confusing to me because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. It looks like these are pass-throughs for the wing, correct? Because look, up here, this comes off, 2 holes are here, and then 2 holes are there.
Okay.
Okay? So I'm still a little bit concerned about how this is all gonna go down, but it's gonna go down just fine, see? And then this, of course, the wheel pants are gonna go that way. So this just lays in the hole, and then this sits on top. So guys, if you're brand new to Brian Phillips RC, watching us struggle through a build because we're so hard-headed we won't read a manual, is just part of the show, folks. So if you're anything like me, you'll get along great. Okay, so there, we're using the short ones back here.
Yes.
Because if there were 6, guess what? Now there's gonna be, whoa, hold on. Yeah, that's right. I felt like for some reason that penetration was a little too deep. And you know, like when it's too deep like that, that's a problem.
Yeah, that would not be good.
Because it'll shoot through the other side, folks.
That would.
All right, so the other big ticket item here is radio setup. When we're done building this plane, we have to set up the radio. We're gonna help get you there. Now, we are not putting AS3X Plus on here. You can choose to do that if you want. You have to factory reset the receiver, and you'll have to take care of the firmware update on your transmitter if you have an older variety, like we do. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm gonna pull this over closer to me. Should be done with these, so I'll just lay these off to the side for now.
Okay.
And I've got those ready to go for the back half, okay? So just right here, all we need to do now on the landing gear is put those 4 screws in. And I really like that these 4 screws are gonna make this really easy and accessible. So if you guys have to take apart your plane, you can actually take apart your plane for easier transport. But I can tell you this, in my experience, 1.3 meter 3D planes are usually pretty easy to transport. Fortunately for us, we haven't had to do a lot of transporting lately because we're building an aerodrome where we live. And yes, I know some of you are jealous. It's awesome. You should do it too. It's super cheap. It doesn't cost.
It's no effort required at all.
There's not hundreds
You'll
of
never
thousands of
argue
dollars
with your
of
wife.
effort.
You'll never.
There's not
work late.
retirement accounts drained
No.
doing it at all.
No.
It's just all fun and games.
Yes. Super easy.
Yeah, just woke up one day and it happened.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
Is that
That's
what
how it happened.
That's
That's
how you
what I
remember it? Okay. So the drugs have worked.
I've been married a really long time.
So, and we're only like halfway through it.
Yeah.
The process is still
Being
continuing.
married or through the aerodrome?
No, the aerodrome.
Just checking.
All right, guys, there you go. So 4 screws. Beautiful, looks great, absolutely wonderful color match.
Yeah.
I was afraid this might be a little too shiny, but I think that's gonna be better for keeping clean because you get grass ops on there. It's gonna be hard to rub off. And you wanna be able to rub one off.
If you need to.
Especially if you get in trouble like I do often. Wings, ailerons, aileron cables, okay? So obviously you want the aileron cables to go down on this plane. I am still very confused about how this is gonna work. I feel like it's gonna be kind of weird because there's like cables that have to get through this and I'm not sure how we're gonna do that. I think they're saying you can do one at a time.
Yes. That's what they're saying to do.
So what I'm doing is I'm gonna lay this down on the table, okay? I'm gonna try, I can't do this because that means I would be hitting this also. So I have to go this way. And I'm gonna drop this down. So it's like this. I'm gonna slide it through. There it goes. There it
You
goes.
gotta go.
Huh? What's that?
Okay. Way closer to the front.
What? Well, I can't see.
Oh, sorry.
There it goes. Okay, so super fantastic. Now, one of the tools that we talk about a lot on this channel is it's called forceps or hemostats. And hemostats and forceps are oftentimes used in surgery and for other less legal pastimes.
Oh, not what I was thinking of.
Bent tip, straight tip. Always get the bent tip. We have links to stuff like this.
Get both, but you're just gonna use the bent tip more.
You're gonna use the bent tip a lot more. Not a little more, a lot more. So then you can pull this out. Okay, so that was pretty easy to access. Okay, now that that's pulled out, I'm just gonna plug it in. Normally we don't do any of this. This is a Y cable, which means that they do not have it set up for flap-ons, which is, how do you say it when there's something that you have repeatedly complained about for decades and it's totally manageable? Anyway, annoyed.
Okay, there you go, that works.
Annoyed.
Are you gonna put the...
I'm gonna use the rod to guide it in.
Okay.
Okay. So folks, I love Horizon. I love their products. Horizon, when flap-ons can be installed, please put them in.
You don't have to use them.
You don't have to use them. You can literally just leave the flap system off and it will not change anything. It'll take an extra 14 seconds for you guys to configure it. So anyway, that's a note from all of your customers and me. But truth is, if you want that feature, you can do it, but you have to separate out the Y cable and you have to land your cables over here. Channels 5 and 6 will be open now. If they're not open right now, you can actually use channels that are above the pluggable channels. And I talk about a lot when we're doing radio setups. And so you want to reserve the pluggables for control surfaces that you want to set up, okay? And if you go to AS3X Plus, you can actually use more than one gyro at a time, which is really nice when you have separated out like a tail wheel. In this case, the tail wheel is physically attached to the rudder, so you're not going to be separating that out on this plane, okay? So then I can pull this forward. Oh yeah, that was pretty easy. Something out of nothing. That's typical for Brian. I get all excited about stupid things.
Well, we've seen
that was really
things,
easy.
so that was not bad.
Yeah, that was really easy. We were just kind of having visions of building previous models that didn't go like that at all.
It's not
Let's just see how this works. And I gotta say, they have refined. There are not many manufacturers that get these lined up as good as Horizon.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it, but they must have some really good jig workers, because when you have a jig and you're making like 40 wing sets at a time, or 1,000 wing sets, or 50, or whatever it is, there's only like 400 things that can cause them to not line up perfect. By the way, if that squeak annoys you, it is in fact annoying. If it's really annoying, hold your hand on the end of this plane. Sometimes you can press it in to get a tighter fit and it'll shut that up. Other times you have to go and put a little drip of Dawn dishwasher detergent or some hand soap, or maybe a drip of lube. But I would just suggest don't get too out of hand. Don't use an impact for sure. And I'm getting tight. And that's gonna be tight. Tight like a tiger. Tight like a tiger. Okay? So we don't have the aileron plugs plugged in. That's throwing caution to the wind, folks. All the way down deep in the abyss.
You only plugged one. You plugged one in, but not the other one.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're supposed to help me remember that, didn't you know?
Okay. I'm telling you.
There's a lot of
right
threads
now.
on this.
Yeah, there is.
Okay, so folks, if you're not two-handing your drill, you've done it wrong.
Oh. Is that what I've been missing?
Learn something new every day. Come on. There it is. Am I in the hole? Sometimes it's easy to not hit the hole when you're going into a blind entrance like this. I don't think I'm in the hole. There it is.
There you go.
See? It's like a sixth sense.
You have a lot of experience with that. That's why it was a problem. It's really bad.
This one was not ready.
It was not.
Talk about forcing the issue.
Yeah.
So guys, if you're brand new to Brian Phillips RC, we appreciate you being here. Thanks for supporting our channel just by watching the videos. Long format content is a dying art.
I wonder why.
YouTube hates it when we do this. And so you can thank Google and Big Brother by smashing the like button right now and then watching our videos once in a while. So like if you go on vacation, start it, and when you get back, it might be over.
Or if you want your kids to sleep while you're driving somewhere,
Great idea.
just put on a video and they can watch while you're
Yeah,
driving.
that's right.
They'll be out the whole time.
And don't worry, the things that we say that they don't understand won't hurt them.
say?
I don't know. We're talking about the China glue.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. So we're gonna plug this in, folks. We've got the, that's definitely not it. There's the aileron plug. So guys, if you're wondering why I'm complaining about the ailerons not being configured as flaperons out of the box, it's really not a huge issue. It's easier now than it's ever been to change the wing type and not give up AS3X and safe. But we try, and I'm just gonna say this right now, we try to be fair to manufacturers. That is a point that's very frustrating for us because I love flaps and we fly off of a very short strip compared to most people. This plane should be totally fine to land without the aid of flaperons. And I love when people say you don't need flaps, because even though they are 100% right, I don't need an RC airplane. I don't need an RC airplane. Yeah. I mean, I need it, but I don't need it, or something like that. You guys might have a different experience. I need airplanes. My wife does not need airplanes.
No, she doesn't.
Okay, so coming around here, let's talk about this. We're gonna need a crescent wrench or some sort of a, I use sizable wrenches. You might actually buy the crescent wrenches.
But again, back to the cheapskate thing.
China, why do you call this a crescent wrench? It's obviously not a crescent wrench. It's not crescent. Okay, crescent is a brand. Sizable wrench is not a brand. Okay, so we're gonna take this off real quick. Should be pretty easy peasy, lemon squeezy. There it is, okay? Then we're gonna put this doohickey on there, cover up that beautiful brushless motor. We're gonna spin this just like that until it keys onto the there it is.
There it goes.
Man, look at the angle. Good Lord. Is it the prop? Is it the thing? Look at it wiggle. What the heck?
That is not right.
Damaged? Can't tell. I don't like the way that looks. It's gonna get squished on there better because it looks fugly right now. Which stands for freaking ugly.
If you're wondering, kids. Clarification.
So you'll see right here, 13 by 6. So that means 13 inches, 6 inches of pitch. Okay, here you go. So just, that should square it up. I just don't think it was fully seated. Oh yeah, beautiful, love it. Okay, now that that's torqued down, oh, it's so beautiful already. Okay, where did our last screw go?
You set it over there next to the spinner?
Is it right here on our invisible screws blended in perfectly? When we bought this piece of granite, this is like the whole piece of granite from the mountain.
From
the entire mountain.
The whole mountain.
They had to mine the entire mountain. So if your mountain disappeared, we're thank you very much. But if you could please go find all the lost screws now that the mountain is gone.
You picked it.
I love this granite. I loved it better before the kids stained it on like day 3. Well, technically you did.
Well.
Because of the kids.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, if we didn't mention, 2 millimeters is the drive size. Beautiful tools like this can be found on links for our supplies. But you can't get this. This is one of
Nope, you gotta make your own garbage.
You have to make your own garbage style screw holder. This screw holder is awesome.
Have we mentioned yet in this video that you're a cheapskate?
Listen, I love that screw holder. It is an awesome screw holder.
It's not a screw holder.
Holds other things.
It's a screwdriver holder.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. You could put screws in it too.
Well, that's true.
Don't be so close-minded, camera crew. Just so ignorant. Watch this. This is why I like, oh yeah, that's so satisfying. Oh, and you remember earlier when we started and there were 17 pieces?
Yeah.
Now we have a plane.
Look, now we have one piece.
It's not midnight yet.
Yay.
We're not totally done though. And guys, by the way, I've got to say, grrr, awesome.
That's cool.
This is pretty cool.
I like it.
I love the way this thing looks.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get it in the air. But before we get it in the air, what's that thing we have to do, camera crew?
Eat dinner? Oh, no.
Lights!
Radio setup.
Radio setup. Thank you. So look at all the waste we created.
We have to
Hardly
save
any.
that packaging. We need that.
I was gonna say, we need it bad right now.
For once.
For once.
I won't
And
be
honestly,
upset.
we're down to the last batch, hopefully for a while, for a
Yeah.
couple of days. Okay, so first thing we like to do for radio setup is I like to get the plane in a position where I'm comfortable when it's with its orientation to me.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Let's do that.
We're going a little bit more slangy tonight. Okay, so we got it where it is. It looks absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so for radio setup, we're gonna use an NX10. So surprisingly, I said, why is there a knife over here?
I don't know. You just randomly
Are you
set it
planning
down
something?
somewhere.
Jeez. Okay, so in order to do radio setup, we're gonna need a battery. Okay. So we're gonna grab a battery, and the battery is gonna help us to energize the plane for testing. Now, they're suggesting 3200, 3 or 4S, and I'm suggesting we're probably gonna run 2200, okay? Now, if you don't have a charger yet, let's talk about the chargers real quick. Smart chargers are awesome. The only thing I don't like is sometimes you have to wait for them to start in order to stick it in, and then it just takes off and runs with it, which is so nice. And at the end of the day, I'm gonna plug 2 of these in because I don't like having a shortage of batteries. Now, if you're gonna use 3250C, a 4S, that's what we could use. So I'll just start up this S1200. That's a 200 watt single channel. This is an S2200, which is a 200 watt by 2. Now they just recently had an S2100 that I think just got released not too long ago. And then the S155 would be fine for an application like this if you're just getting back into it. But just to be totally true with you, totally truthful with you, this plane is probably not a beginner plane, even though it's got safe. It's a 3D plane. You're not gonna generally be beginning on a 3D plane, although you might want to fly a 3D plane like this as a beginner into 3D. But I gotta say, that battery is charged? When the heck was that charged?
Oh, yeah, we charged it the other day for a thing we didn't use it for.
For the flight with the guy?
When was that?
The guy?
Yeah.
Kenny? Was it when Kenny came?
Maybe so.
Yeah, we had a subscriber that came, and he had a loved one pass away, and so he was traveling to spread the ashes with the family and stuff. So anyway, sad stories, real people. That's what we do on Brian Phillips RC. Sad stories from real people. You're welcome, Kenny, for bringing it up again.
Okay, can I go back to what you said about this is not a beginner plane. It is a skill level 2, right?
Out of a million billion.
Yeah, however many levels you want there to be.
Normally there's 3. There is a 4th, but we rarely see level 4s.
Yeah. Our oldest son does fly our older, like the V1 Extra 300, and he's not a beginner pilot, but he is also not an experienced pilot.
He's also very nervous because his dad has only a few planes, and if he crashed one, it would be the end of the world.
Just his personality. Anyway, but
he's the type that wants to be very good at it before he does it. I'm gonna just help you guys. You're not gonna be.
No.
Just remember,
But
everybody starts crappy.
Yeah.
Even the 6-year-olds that are awesome and more better than I am.
More better than you.
Yeah, it's really irritating
Also
me.
better.
All you 6-year-olds.
Grammar.
Yeah, more better.
Yeah.
More betterer.
Yeah.
Yeah, use the right grammar.
Sorry.
Oh, shoot. Oh, dang it. Oh, shucks. I just threw that in the garbage can. I'll file that later. Okay, we're going to take this Velcro and we're going to pull it right out. It was a subliminal message.
What?
To use China glue. Okay, so this is Velcro. They're expecting you to stick this where the sun don't shine in there on your battery, like that. And I'm like, but then how am I going to tell what size it is? Well, you could put it here if you really were creative, or here if you were creative.
But I was going to read that warning label.
But what's going to happen is eventually you're going to run out of spots to put Velcro. And so we've learned a trick. Just listen, camera crew. This is trick of the day time. We're going to do shelf liner.
Don't people have more than one battery usually too?
I just think it's
They
ridiculous.
expect you to buy. What if you get subpar Velcro?
Listen, somebody had a problem with that the other day.
I know, and that was a bummer.
Sorry, Adam. Okay, so we're just gonna clip this. I hope he watches this video. If he watches this video that long, I'm gonna be like, you are bored.
We are sorry, Adam.
Sorry, Adam. Okay, as you can see. So if you slide it, it slides. And if you slide it, it doesn't, okay? If you have a little bit of weight on it, you won't be able to move that. Okay, so that's what's so beautiful about doing this. I just want to show you how the 3200 fits because it just happens to be charged right now. This is run-of-the-mill shelf liner. It is not anything fancy. It's not anything expensive. You too can
steal
prevent
your wife's
forest
shelf liner.
fires. See, you thought you knew what I was gonna say. You can also do shelf liners.
Actually, I stole your shelf liner the other day.
Well, we have new shelf liner. I was totally thinking about debuting it. It's brown.
That's why I used up a whole big chunk of your old stuff.
It's gorgeous.
I have a problem with here.
Are we far enough into the video we can start making jokes like that?
It's been an hour.
It's like we don't want to get anybody fired.
No.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, this plane is tall.
I'm sorry you have so many personal problems today.
Not short either.
See? Amazing. Now that's a
Beautiful.
permanent structure in there. So
Permanent.
now all I have to do is this. Lift them up, stick it in.
Oh,
Now, sometimes if you load a battery and it's problematic, okay, you're not gonna wanna fly the plane as much, which sounds ridiculous, but it's so true. So true, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna grab this. There is a little bit of room for your fingers, but it's still a little bit tight, in my opinion. It's a little tight. It could be less tight.
I'm kind of surprised.
I'm a little bit surprised. It's not a little easier.
It's deep, but it's not very wide.
Whoa. Goodness gracious. Behave. So I'm just pulling this tight. And look, that's probably enough to hold it. It's
Well,
not
it's
a
not for
3D
now.
plane.
Right. Not the way you fly.
You just insult my 3D flying. I want to just formally reserve the right to insult my own 3D flying.
Okay.
Now this is a 50 seat pack, so you're gonna get a little bit more punchiness out of it. But I just wanna show you something. With that shelf liner installed, oh, my surfaces are moving.
Right. Yes, that's all. The battery is not, though.
I'm 56 and I feel great. If you get the reference, put it in the comments.
And you're older than 56 then.
I don't know how old the guy in the commercial is.
He's way older
okay?
than 56.
Tell me if you know, okay? This has an automatic balancing circuit in it, and it also has an automatic discharge circuit in it, which is nice if you're like me and you have 4,000 batteries in your living room.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you're a cheapskate.
By the way, if you want to talk about battery safety, number one, best thing you can do to keep batteries safe is charge them where you are, seeing and hearing and smelling. So I have to have somebody with me
At all times.
because I can't smell anymore. I have a problem. And it's not COVID. I hit my head on the concrete really hard. Lost 5 hours of memory and smelling.
Why are you plugging that in?
I'm not.
Oh.
I'm sticking this like that.
Okay.
See, negative to negative. It's very negative in here. Do you know why I did that? So that we can make a profile. We're just leaving our audience hanging today. That was kind of a loaded commentary there. The lack of smelling. I know people want to know. Is this story time? No, it's not.
No, it's radio setup.
We're gonna make a profile next. So this is radio setup, guys. So in Brian Phillips RC, we build the plane.
We assemble it. People are going to get mad if you say we built it.
You
We
didn't
did
build
not
that
build
foam. You didn't cut down that balsa wood tree. Last week I built 4 myself. I have my own balsa wood forest, Brian. Huh. I feel like a moron because you're saying build, and I just went out and milled and winnowed down to 3/8 of an inch sticks. And then the balsa wood, I wasn't even, then I had to make the plywood, okay? It was terrible. I had to build a whole new forest, grow the trees, cut them down.
Way to alienate people. Build is a shorter word than assemble, people.
Assembled.
It's a title. We should have explained all that while we were waiting for a transmitter to turn on.
Yeah, now we have to wait.
Now we have to wait.
Sorry.
We'll just stay here
Hey,
in
by the way,
silence.
guys, your NX10 will not be near as slow as mine.
Till you get 248
When you're on
models in it.
249.75, you're in
Yeah.
trouble. Did it just fail to turn on? Oh, you know what happened? Did you guys see what happened? I pushed this and it stuck down. And so it was as though I was holding the button and it power cycled
weird.
twice. That's because I was doing the overly aggressive. The guy that cut his forest down was pissed about it. And so
Yeah.
he hit that button really hard.
See, there it goes.
All right, so F-16 Thunderbirds, that's number 61. Let's just cancel and back. Scroll all the way down. Nope, this numbering starts twice because I came from another model memory. Oh, look at that. See, it starts again. Look at that. It goes up to like whatever and then continues again.
Yeah.
That's one thing I could say. I'm hoping Airware fixes it eventually, and that's going to be the numbering. I want that fixed. And I also want the display for the channels fixed so that when you go from like a 6 to a 10 or a 6 to an 8 or whatever. Oh, thanks for doing that. I can scroll again. It's definitely not a problem.
Selected this time.
Definitely not. Definitely not. We're going to create an acro. That's an acro. If that wasn't an acro, it would look like this. That's a heli. That's a sailplane. You want some complex wing types? Make one of those. You'll be confused. That's a quad. That's a template. I don't use templates. I don't use bind and flights. You want to know why? Just because there's Wi-Fi and just because it's easy and it works perfectly fine doesn't mean I'm going to use it. I got a forest to grow so I can make my planes from scratch. Build them. Now you should see how complicated it is to make the CA. Dang it!
Did you seriously do that again?
It timed out again. Canceling back. Okay, enough of that guy. He's off the video. You're off. You're fired. Add new model. Create. And then Spectrum is like, hurry up, Brian. Hurry up, Brian. You're going to find the bug we didn't fix. I'm just kidding, guys.
Did
click
you not
create.
click create?
I did. It just
Well, you
takes.
did that. No,
it
the first time you did.
Listen, this is like when the Chinese menus are like, oh, pack lunch so you eat a very good lunch, balanced meal. And don't fly around handicapped people.
They don't tell you to eat a
They
balanced
literally
meal.
said that. They did. Well, they said to pack a lunch.
Pack a lunch.
And don't fly around boskage, which we found out later is actually a word.
It is.
Boskage. I wonder what my closed captions look like on our channel.
They're pretty hilarious.
Oh my gosh. And then you know how
And-
like Google screws it up half the time.
Yeah, and I'm not editing them. Hey, can you see how long our videos are?
This is the bind and fly basic
Okay.
setup. Okay, right here. This is what we're looking at because we have an NX and this is DX, that's IX. So if you're one of those highfalutin IXers, you can do this. Or if you're one of those other falutins, DX users. I have a DX18, guys. Don't make fun of me.
Yeah.
This is Gen 2 or 1. I don't know.
Gen 2.
Well, anyway. All right, so what we're going to...
Used it the other day.
We're going to power this on. Okay, so we already did model select. Model type is already set. If you reset, that's going to reset. And now we need to do a model because acro is just kind of lame, even though it is quite literally
An
acro. So we're going to call this the Extra 300 SC 3D 1.3 meter. And all those letters mean things to me because I'm what you call an expert. All right, guys, so as you can see, Extra 330 SC 3D 1.3 meter. Aircraft type. This is where you can start looking at this if you want. Normal and normal. So it says normal and normal. So we'll just click next and select image. And then I'm going to go to standard image and scroll over. I think they have one that's pretty close. Don't they?
No, it's probably that like third one.
Oh, it's just the acro? Now, by the way, you guys can install your own images here, but I pick one that's close and then I'm happy with it usually. Yeah, the acro for once. Okay, so now it's suggesting nothing about flight modes. Are we gonna set up flight modes? Do you wanna do flight modes? We can do flight modes.
We usually do.
Okay, so switch 1, I'm just gonna set up switch D. Okay. Then I'm gonna go to spoken flight mode. So you can see it says flight mode 1, flight mode 2, flight mode 3. Now you could assign this to a different switch, but if you have like a 2 position, it's only gonna have 2 flight modes. I like to have 3 modes of action. I want AS3X, which I'm gonna use most of the time, which is why I have my switches in a neutral position that I'm used to. Then there's gonna be an off setting, which is very offsetting because I like stabilization. And then there's safe, auto leveling, okay? So I can scroll into here, cancel, cancel, then it'll clear everything off. And then I can scroll in the word, AS3X, which is an acronym, not a word. So I'm gonna type now. And this is what's gonna be displayed on the screen when you're flying, but just keep in mind, this is not actually, whoops, AS3X. Okay, this is not actually going to make any of the settings. And same thing with the spoken. So you have to scroll way down here, which is super annoying. Oh, and by the way, you can actually set up your favorites if you want on this, but we intentionally don't do that. AS3X mode, because we want to teach you how to do it.
AS3X mode.
She's talking beautifully. Oops, don't have to go back out. Just flip your switch. Now this one's the one that we want to make off-putting, so I'm going to click, scroll in the letters O and then F and F. And again, there are times in our model setups where you're not going to actually be able to turn off AS3X without a reboot of, not a reboot, but a reset to factory defaults and then updating firmware. It just depends on the age of your airplane.
Did you pass off?
Oops, sorry guys, I got excited. Off. So normally when you're flying, this will automatically make the audio event when you switch the switch. Now, just to be clear, I understand there's more than one way to skin a cat. And so I don't want to tell you that the way you're doing it is wrong if you're doing it a different way. There are many ways to accomplish similar results in Airware, which is the program that runs on here. So sensor assisted flight envelope, and then we'll scroll down a long ways. And there it is, safe mode. Off and AS3X. Now, anybody who's ever flown in a field and said, hey buddy, let me fly your plane, or they've offered up a plane, you're gonna know exactly what I'm saying. I would say close to 100% of the time, I have no clue what mode it's in. I have no clue where the switches are. Make a decision and start doing it. If you do like I do, you're gonna use this for retracts. You're gonna use this for flaps. You're gonna use this for some weird accessory that you don't oftentimes use. This is gonna be your mode. This is gonna be used for nothing except for binding. This is gonna be used for master gains if you have AS3X and safe. This is gonna be used for correcting steering trim if you get into a plane that has a separate servo, which I almost never do. This will be another weird accessory that you almost never use. If you had 2 of them, it'd be very unusual. I almost never get to the stick. The way I hold with my thumb, so it's hard for me to get to it without coming off of this side, which is bad. This is gonna be used for expo and dual rates. This is gonna be used for thrust reverse if available. And then this is going to be used for throttle hold. 2 position switch. Safety first. All right, so very good. So then channel assign, we're gonna go in here. Since we don't have flaps, it's probably not gonna matter, but I'm still gonna inhibit that. Now, just to be clear, if you wanna set up flaps, you have to change the wing type and you have to do it. So you could do dual ailerons, you can do flaperons, but generally flaperons, okay? Obviously in this configuration, we have the ailerons tied to a Y cable, so it's being commanded by 1 channel. To change that, you can change that, but you may have to reset the receiver, and that might be a good time if you're doing that to upgrading to AS3X Plus for an even better experience, although I don't know what I'm missing. So, next move, we're gonna come out of the system setup, we're into the regular setup. I'm gonna click, I'm gonna scroll immediately to throttle cut, I'm gonna switch, I'm gonna exercise the switch H, and then I'm gonna look down here and see if it says -100. It does, very good, so that's working. And then when I use this, then it works. You can see it's changing the value that's associated to the 6th position. I'm gonna put throttle hold back on. I accidentally actuated my G switch as well. So I wanna make sure that everything is still working by verifying that says H, okay? Then I'm gonna go into Rates and expo, we'll set that next. So for ailerons, I want to set this to switch F. I'm going to do 5, 10, and 20%. Now you guys are probably thinking, but you've done other setups on 3D planes. You're right, I have. Okay, so this is where I'm going to start. If I need less, I'll go here. If I need more, I'll go here. There's a good chance on this particular plane I'll change it because look at their recommendations. So they're recommending that we go to, what is that? 100% rates with 10% expo. Low rates are going to be 70 with 5, okay? They're saying that for all 3 of those settings, okay? Now, if you want to give up 3 switches for that, be my guest. I'm not, okay?
Yeah.
I'm giving up 1 switch, and I'm going to do it the way I've done it for a long time. I've had very good success with this. It's not perfect, but it always gets me to the ground by giving me halving or doubling with a little bit less sensitivity if I want it, okay? Now, I have been known to, on 3D planes, figure out what I like for my normal flight mode, and then I'll cut this to a 0 or even negative expo for more touchiness for really intense 3D, and then I will leave this in the very soft sticks. But I almost always fly in the middle position, unless I make a mistake, okay? So then we'll go to the elevator, exercise switch F, scroll to 5. Now, why do you use the same switch? What if you need to just adjust 1? Well, then you adjust all 3 of them to the safer setting that you need to get to the ground. Then you make your adjustments whilst on the ground. Or you have a buddy that's really good with the sticks that could come over and help you accomplish the results while you're flying. It's very unusual that you can do this much dinking around while flying. I would not recommend it. It's a good way to crash a plane, especially if you're doing 3D maneuvering, okay? Remember, be safe up there. And this is where I'm going to talk about remote ID. I don't care what you do. Have at it. Enjoy your time in the pokey. I'm just kidding. I don't think they're probably going to arrest you, but they might give you a fine. And the truth is, guys, if you're flying outside of a FRIA, which is an FIA recognized identification area, which is stupid because it's actually a place where you don't identify yourself, which is just like the government to use an acronym to describe another acronym made up of acronyms.
That don't actually mean
That
what
don't
the
mean
acronym
what they actually mean.
means.
But it's the opposite of the thing. Okay, so anyway, a FRIA means that you can fly without having the remote ID module in there, okay? If you have a remote ID module installed, you can run it off of one of your open ports. You can use a Y cable to run it so you don't have to power it separately, or you can just use it, plug in your own battery, have it inside of there, tape it to the side, I don't care, cover it in aluminum foil, some stainless steel ball, you know, SOS pads, see how it works. Then you'd be compliant. All right, so anyway, but again, like I said, I'm not your mother. I don't care what you do. Nope. I'm not the government. I think it's stupid. It's ridiculous. It's overreach like we've never seen in our lives. And I could go on, and I'm not going to do that. So you do you, and I'll stay out of the pokey as best I can. But if you do go, you know where to find us. BrianPhillipsRC.com. You can watch all the videos.
We'll fill your time.
Full length. That's right. You might even need to go back to jail just to finish a few. All right, so, Judge, only 10 years? What? Throttle cut. Okay, so we're going to go to mixing. We're not going to mess with that. Timer. Do they give us a time? Let's see. It's not in here.
Not anymore.
So I've noticed that they've simplified this. The problem is this doesn't tell you all the stuff you need. It tells you like the stuff you like the basic stuff.
But now,
holy crap, they're saying you can use a 5000 4S. That's nuts. I wouldn't do that. Okay, so what am I looking for, hon? Holy cow, that's a 400 watt charger?
Oh, is that the new one?
400 watts? What are you charging on that thing?
Your car?
Your car? Like your real car? Jeez. Oh, look, 4346, 910 kV, 14 pole. 14 pulls? That's a lot of pulls.
You were looking for the timer, which they don't tell us anymore because it has an avian ESC, right?
Why does their medium C8 look like thread locker? That looks like thread locker.
They only bought one clip art picture.
And it's not, they didn't even put their lid on.
See?
That's ridiculous.
Maybe they're switching lids like you do.
Well, I gotta go outside and trim my trees. Okay.
Moving on.
So we'll set it to 5 minutes. 1 out is active. That means anything over the threshold of 25 on the timer, it's going to start counting down, okay? Clear is going to clear it. At 1 minute, I want, do we do a voice?
Yes.
No, we don't, do we? Yes.
1 minute, yes.
Yes,
and
we
then 10
do.
seconds.
10 seconds,
Voice.
voice. We want a voice, and then at expiration, we want tone and vibrate, and a tone every minute thereafter, okay?
Yeah.
Now, there's other ways to skin that cat, folks. You can also do telemetry audio events, and then audio events to help with that, okay? And then you can go to bind and be ready to do this. Okay, throttle cuts on, throttle sticks down, switches are in their conventional standard positions. I have the landing gear retracted if they were retracts on purpose, just because it's easier to know where it is. And then we're gonna go ahead and initiate this. Now the binding process is super easy on this. Binding, if you're brand new to Brian Phillips RC or coming back to RC from other addictions, then we are gonna help. Hobbies.
Yes.
Hobbies.
Commitments, life stages.
You see where my arm is?
I do.
Not an ideal place.
Probably not.
I don't trust this plane yet. Why
Because we
do I
haven't.
not trust it?
Because we haven't plugged it in yet.
Yep.
To vet the plane.
So listen, if you want to be as safe as possible, take your prop off. If you're like any other normal human, you can do one of two things. You can either straddle the prop so that you know for sure it's not going to chop suey, and I'm sure on camera it looks worse than it actually is, but I don't want to be that guy going, it's going to be bad. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this very carefully. There are safety mechanisms in place to keep you somewhat safe, but there's still no guarantees. Bind is highlighted, but it's not going to be ready to go for a second. And so you can do this one of a bunch of different ways. Because I want to keep my right hand free from this, I'm just going to do this with one hand. I'm just going to plug this in. I'm going to get it ready. There we go. Only the first time do I fail to trust vehicles, because I have almost never had problems, okay?
Wait, did you hit the bind button?
There's no bind button in there.
Oh, it's up there.
So now that it's not started and it's beeping, I know it hasn't energized and it hasn't armed, so I'm gonna hold the spinner in case it starts, I can let go. I knew I was gonna bump it. You're not helping. Then I can pull this off. Yes, you have to do it like this. Then you can press this button and hold it for a moment. There it goes, now it's in bind mode. Because of the nature of this setup, I'm gonna drop this back in. I'm gonna flip the plane back over. Yes, I'm aware of it. I'm gonna slide that out of the way. I'm gonna lay this back down. I'm gonna put it on the table. Can you please move that transmitter? Thank you. Perfect. Now this is gonna be centered, and then I'm gonna hold and support the tail like this. Then I'm gonna click bind. I'm gonna scroll to yes. I'm gonna click, and then I'm gonna do it. Now it's binding. DSMX 22 milliseconds. Auto configuration is happening. Throttle hold is on, and it's tested. Now I'm gonna scroll over, and I'm gonna look at throttle. It's on, like Donkey Kong, okay? Throttle cuts on. Now I'm gonna take and hold the plane here where I'm more secure. I'm gonna shut off throttle hold, and I'm gonna give it some throttle. That's a lot of power.
Wow.
Okay, so I put throttle cut on. And not throttle hold, throttle cut, guys, okay? So we've got some center of gravity to work out. We've got forward programming to work out. We've got to check a few different things. We're not quite there, we're not quite done. But now that we're in this mode, I'm checking for AS3X behaviors and safe behaviors. It's not trying to bring it right, so that means we're in nothing mode, okay? Nothing is what I want. Because now, what can I do, camera crew?
Hook up our...
That's right.
servos.
Now we know our servos are centered. So our servo arms are centered. So that means we can lay the plane on the stand again upside down, knowing that we can just center all the stuff and have a pretty good time of it. Now, if you guys are brand new to Brian Phillips RC and you're probably thinking, Brian, there's an easier way to do this. You know, I get that. There's gonna be some times where there's a deviation from pilot to pilot on exactly how you want to accomplish certain goals. We do our best to try to keep it somewhat consistent and through the process, okay? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 holes, and it looks like they want it in the third hole down. Can you confirm that, camera crew?
Are you on the rudder or the?
I'm on the rudder.
No, rudder. They have outside hole.
The outsidemost hole.
Yeah.
Okay. So rudder in the outsidemost hole. Okay, you see this? I slipped it in and then I twisted it. And I'm not sure I like the alignment. If I did it the other way, then it might be more square. And I sometimes just guess and check. If they don't outright tell you, I just kind of guess and check until I'm most satisfied with it. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get this in, and I'm trying not to stab myself, and I still managed to do it. This is still gonna free and clear all this, okay? So 3 fingers holding that tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Still not there. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Almost there. That's pretty dang close. There's 16 half turns, 17 half turns, 18 half turns. That looks like I've overshot from center, right?
Yes.
17 half turns. Good?
Yeah, better.
Okay? So now, if you don't have the right tool, you can snap that on by finger. I just did it, just show you that you can do it. But if you want to have the right tool for the job, what I would suggest is you consider something like this. By the way, I never bought this. This was sent to me by one of our wonderful, admiring fans. I don't like this one because it's too thick here. It needs to be thin so it's sharp. So you also see that they don't go real close together. I could probably fix that by bending it, but I don't know. If you're buying these, that would be one thing I would look for is really thin fingers here, okay? They do work, and generally we can get them on there. Where this comes in real handy is pulling these off, okay? Putting them on is pretty easy, but like here, you can put that on and pop them off. So if you do a lot of helicopters, these things are invaluable. But when you're pushing them on, you can do this without too much trouble. Now I wanna push this on, so I just grab it like this. And what it does is it helps pull it down, but it's kind of like, I've always thought it was a little bit tedious and weird. So not a huge fan of this tool, but it is a tool that's really helpful, especially with helis, because you got a lot of really difficult to remove ball links. And you would think the bigger ones are harder, but like I've always found the bigger ones to be easier.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one is in the next outside hole.
Yes. Are there
Let's show the
4
people.
holes on that one?
There's 4 holes. I'm gonna go in, I'm just gonna feel for the one hole that I know works, and then I'm gonna go to the second hole and say, can I do it?
I don't know. I guess if it goes in.
Is that really the requirement?
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say. But yeah, so we're just gonna slide this in. Dang it. Okay, I'm just gonna grab this tool. You're fine.
Okay.
See if this helps. Yes, it did. That's
See,
awesome.
If you have to use a tool, then
If you have to use a tool, you did it wrong.
it
Okay, look,
wasn't the right hole.
right here. So now watch. Now I'm gonna grab this like that and go whoop, whoop. 3 half turns. Now, I want you to go look on the end and show the people. Before I snap this on, does that look perfectly straight?
That's pretty good.
Nope. It's
No,
going
two.
down. It's going down. Okay? That looks pretty dang good. I think I could go one more half turn. So that's a half a turn more out. That's pretty dang close. Okay? Guys, this is where attention to detail matters, and it will pay dividends, okay? So that's pressed on. Make sure it's all the way on and not half on, okay? Half on is not a good idea. You're gonna have problems if you have half on. Also, the further out on this, the more output you're gonna have on this. The further out on this, the less change you're gonna have on that. There's only 1 hole on this. There's 2 holes on this. If you want this to move more, you can move this to the inside hole. If you want it to move more, you can move that to the outside hole. Does that make sense? Okay, so now elevator should go up, down. Okay, so y'all left, y'all right. That's a lot of throw, that's a lot of throw, holy cow. Throttle cuts on, now I'm gonna flip the plane back onto its landing gear. I'm gonna avoid all the millions of things that I hit. You know, Can you pull that thing off there, camera crew? Thank you, thank you. Okay. So I'm gonna lay this down. So guys, you're probably thinking to yourself, hey, that plane's set up, ready to take off. No! Elevator up, elevator down. Roll left, roll right. Don't let anybody rush you past this process. If you get it wrong, you're gonna crash your plane. Almost certainly, okay? Take your time, get it right. Jeez. That is a little bit of yaw. Lots of yaw. Roll left, roll right. Okay, very good. Elevator up, elevator down. Everything's working, okay? So now throttle cut is on. I'm gonna turn it off, and I'm gonna give it some throttle. That's 50% throttle. Holy crap, throttle cut's on. That thing has some power, okay? So now I'm gonna back out of the menu. I'm gonna scroll all the way to the right, and yes, we have an avian ESC setup menu. So I'm gonna turn on thrust reverse. Now, you don't have to do thrust reverse. I now trust this plane as far as I can throw it. So, throttle cut is on, it's tested. Before I get in here, I'm gonna go ahead and open this. I have to unplug and replug, so within so many seconds, I'm gonna follow some prompts on this screen. It's gonna allow me to enter the avian programming manual or programming menu, okay? Let it initiate, that's one dance, okay? Up elevator, left aileron. Right aileron. It's gonna enter the menu. Okay, now, watch this. I'm gonna go back around where I can sit and be safe, and the camera crew has an easier time hitting the image. Okay, fixed wing, brake type. Oops, you gotta use this. Brake type, normal, proportional, reverse, brake force. This is probably supposed to be set to something. This is where you can change your cutoff voltage. So now they're saying this is on channel 7. So the default channel would be 7. I'm trying to think about where channel 7 would normally reside. And by the way, just so you know, oh, son of a biscuit. Okay, so if I hit back, I got to scroll all the way over to see the serial feedback, okay? So we're still in the menu. Channel 7, channel 8, channel 9, channel 5. So it's 5 through 9. So we'll go back to 7. We'll exit with save. I'm gonna hold this just in case something goes wrong. Exit with save. You're gonna listen to it arm. Okay. But no dance because we didn't reset the receiver. We only reset the ESC. Okay, within so many seconds, you can actually go back in there. Now, you may have noticed a bunch of menu screens come up here. You see the receiver pack voltage. Oh, so you're running 6.2 volts. Okay, pretty cool. And then you've got the min max for voltages. You've got a bar graph that shows your battery status. Very nice. Okay, very good. You can see.
Safe mode off. AS3X mode.
You'll notice it doesn't display here in this menu. Same thing here. Okay, very good. So now we can go back. We can click into the function list. We can scroll down to, actually, let's go over one channel. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So aux2 is going to be what we need to make an association to switch G. Okay, so system setup, disconnect RF, jump down to channel assign. aux2 is going to be assigned to switch G. Exercise switch G, walk out. Now I'm going to go to digital switch setup. Digital switch setup, I'm going to set up switch G. Okay, cool. Now you can see switch G here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 7. Okay. See it moving? See it moving? Pretty cool. So now all we have to do is we just need to, whoops, we need to change this to work. So throttle cut is on. Now it's off. That's reverse thrust. See the box moving? That's reverse thrust. So we want that 100. In my case, throttle cut's on. I want the 100 here and the 100 here. And I want the negative 100, which I'm assuming throttle cut's off. I already know this, but I'm going to test it for you. So now I'm down here, watch this. That's forward thrust. Throttle cuts on, stick is down so we don't accidentally jump on. So this I want up here, and the 100 I want in both other places. So I'm gonna scroll this. Oops, I went the wrong way, sorry guys. This needs to be plus 100. Now why not just reverse the switch? Because I don't want that floating. That would be dangerous in my opinion. Oops, this one needs to be 100 too, right?
Yes.
So that'll be reverse thrust. And you might choose to make this setup a little bit different, but these numbers are pretty much where they need to be. Not pretty much, they're exactly where they need to be, okay? Now remember, this doesn't change the amplitude of the output or the throttle position, it only changes the direction that the motor is running. Okay, so now demonstration time, throttle cuts off. In forward thrust, we have forward thrust. In reverse thrust, we have reverse thrust. And in reverse thrust, we have reverse thrust. In forward thrust, we have forward thrust. Throttle cuts on, throttle sticks down. Why do we like the Avian over Predator ESCs? Because it works.
All the time.
What do we need to work when we need it to work?
Thrust reverse.
Ding, ding, ding.
And it doesn't use a pluggable channel.
Doesn't use a pluggable channel. Huge feature. Okay, and I know huge. Okay, ready? Now we're gonna walk out of this menu and we're gonna go down and actually go into forward programming. Now, why did I do all that setup first? Because you have to have all that stuff set first. Advanced menus, you can turn that on or you can leave that off. When it's active, it opens up other settings. So I'm gonna go to gyro settings, AS3X settings, AS3X gains. Okay, so we have flight mode 2. It's not changing when I move my switch, so I have to go set up other settings. Factory reset is where you would set if you wanted to update your programming, okay? Okay. You guys see what's happening here? I have nowhere to set this.
Safe mode. AS3X mode.
There we go.
Safe
Aux 1. There you go. Now that's going to turn on safe or not.
Safe mode.
See how it's changing? Flight mode 2, flight mode 3.
Mode. AS3X mode. Off. Safe mode.
I want it on. And in this mode,
AS3.
see, now there's mode 1, mode 2, mode 3. So in safe, I want safe off, but you can't change it, you see? Because you can't highlight that. So what do? We walk out. Now I'm going to go to servo setup, travel, scroll over to reverse, and we're gonna reverse aux 1. Boom. You're like, well, how come you can do that for AS3X, but you can't do that for thrust reverse? Because thrust reverse is a potentially dangerous setting. AS3X is only potentially dangerous if you crash into your face. I hope I covered all the details.
That was great. Yeah,
Okay, so
very
gyro settings, AS3X settings. Now watch this. Oh, gains.
Safe.
Look, now
AS3X
that's AS3X mode, and you can go in and modify those values.
off.
See that? Pretty cool, huh? But I'm gonna leave them whatever they were, okay? Priority, same thing. I never mess with that. I never mess with that. And then it's safe, it kind of overrides that, so it just loses that setting. Safe select is going to be still on the aux 1 channel.
Off.
See how it says on? Watch this. AS3X is on, but I want safe off and AS3X off.
AS3X mode. Off. Safe mode.
You guys see what's going on? Look at that. Now this chick knows what she's talking about. After I told her what to say, she said it right.
Be careful.
Come back around here. So I trained it. Flight mode 3 is now aux 1. It's associated to aux 1. Okay, which to be honest with you, what we ought to do is we ought to just go like this.
Make it flight mode.
Yeah, because if we go to system setup, disconnect RF, yes. Go to channel assign. See how this says D for aux 1? You can also scroll all the way to the left. F mode, boom. Now I can scroll back down to forward programming. Dang it, gyro settings, safe select. Oh, it's going to be one of those. See this?
No, wait, go back. After.
AS3X mode off.
It's only going to use aux 1.
Oh, that's
weird.
weird. Yeah, it is.
But then look, it worked.
Safe mode.
What the heck? Okay, so that's a nuance we found we haven't seen before, okay? So whatever the case is, I think just for posterity reasons, I'm gonna go to system setup, disconnect RF, I'm gonna go to channel assign, and aux 1 is not gonna be flight 1, it's gonna be aux 1, right?
No, it's gonna be D.
Oh, switch D. Oh, I could just exercise the switch.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so guys, do you understand what I just did there and failed miserably on camera for the world to see? Mm-hmm. If you're still watching, you're one of a group of 17 super helpful people, and we want to thank you for being part of our YouTube experience. So smash the like button if you haven't already. Click the bell for notifications when you're subscribing, and we're going to keep teaching you things that you didn't need to do because that was wrong. If you're setting this up as a bind and fly, sometimes it lets you change it and sometimes it doesn't. They've changed the firmware over the years. This one could probably be updated. And then if we were going to update it, we would set it up from scratch, in which case you should be able to select flight mode. Okay. For posterity reasons, for lack of confusion later down the road, when I come back and look at this again, I'm going to do it this way. Okay.
Okay.
Also, if you want to support us, the best way to support us financially, buy the planes you like that you see us do. And even if you don't see us do it, you can follow our master links. We also have tons of other content right now for you to learn the answer to your questions. And you can go to bprc.me and you can find it. Or you can go to brianphillipsrc.com, which is our domain. It's the same place, different URLs, okay? If you want to compare this to a previously offered model, maybe you're buying something at a swap meet, you can go watch the videos and figure out which one's better. Or if you're comparing this to another currently active model, you can do the same and you'll be able to learn most of what you need to learn, and you can just jump through the videos to the points where you know we're going to be talking about something, because we're always going to do the unbox, the build, and then the radio setup. We're going to help answer your questions. Also keep in mind, with the newer technology and forward programming, if you factory reset that, which is very easy to do, you can go back and set this up like any standard 1, 2, 3, 4 channel plane. But you can also take and separate those ailerons and very easily set up flaperons. Mm-hmm. I am disappointed there's not flaperons by default, by the way. If you want to compare this to another plane that we've set up flaperons on, you can do that. You can also go to brianphillipsrc.com and see it. Or if you want to help support us right now and you just want to buy this plane, look in the links in the video description below. There'll be a link to the plane, the battery. In our case, we're not going to have a receiver use because this is bind and fly, but it has a 631. If you're buying it as a plug and play, then you'll have to purchase a receiver. So you can follow our links for that. And then we'll also link to the NX10 or the NX lineup. Because at this point, people are kind of in flux on which ones they really like. If you know you're not going to need the sliders, then you could get the NX8 and you're going to have all the regular features, because of the NX8 Plus comes with the updated firmware, okay? Mm-hmm. Other ways to support us: YouTube Super Thanks. YouTube Super Thanks are one-time, PayPal one-time, Patreon and YouTube members are monthly support. They're much appreciated, but we really firmly believe, even though we offer these 4-up and we talk about them occasionally, the best way to support is just buy a plane that you love, buy a helicopter that you think you might love, buy a VTOL quad, whatever it is that we're reviewing, leaf blower, okay? Because we really do want you guys to have great success. We're going to try to talk you out of the wrong decision, while all the other influencers are just saying, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this. It's the best, fastest, cheapest. No, that's a bunch of BS, total waste of time, insulting your intelligence. I get sick of it. Buy what's good for you. It might not even be what's good for me. but we're in safe, as you can see. This plane is trying to find the quickest route to level. Is it?
It is not.
I was in forward programming.
There we go.
Okay. Now I'm in safe. It's finding the quickest route to level. Now look at the elevator. The elevator is pulling it up to a level attitude. It's pushing it down to a level attitude. Now the rudder is not going to do the same thing because safe only usually acts on the pitch and the roll axis, okay? So if you're in safe, just remember, if you need to reset the home position, the level position, you need to build up something under here to get it level. You don't want it to be flying like that. That'd be really hokey looking. You want it to be level, okay? So in off mode, you'll notice there is no movement of any of the surfaces. And that's not because I haven't armed it, because it's already armed, because here's your AS3X is working. Okay, so aileron up, aileron down, aileron up, roll left, or yaw left, yaw right, elevator up, elevator down. I can see it really good. I'm gonna give you guys a first-hand shot. Make sure your throttle cut's on if you pick up the plane like this. And I'm gonna show you exactly what this looks like, okay? Camera crew, you ready? Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so looking at the rudder, going up, down, hard to see on that one. Okay, looking at the rudder this way, going that way, you see how it favors that way, and then it favors this way to resist, favors this way to resist. Now looking at the elevator, going up, going down. Very hard to see, aileron up, aileron down, aileron up, aileron down. That's really hard to see on this plane.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna show you the trick of the day. If you have one that's hard to see, normally when we do a full radio setup with a factory reset and then we go and set everything up, I can actually turn up my gains considerable amount. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this and just go like this. Up, yeah. Down, yeah. Up, yeah. Down, yeah. I can feel it. Now, grab the elevator. Oh yeah, up, oh yeah, down. I can feel it. The rudder, we could see. So don't skip this step. If you're new to the hobby or you're returning to the hobby, you must get this step right. There is nobody that is going to fix it for you because you will destroy your plane. If your AS3X is going the wrong way, you will be fighting it the whole flight. It'll feel like the most unstable plane you have ever flown in your life, okay? You'll be lucky to get it to the ground. Roll left, roll right. Okay, so I like to be back here. This is the final test. Roll left, roll right, elevator up, elevator down, yaw left, yaw right. Now, in off mode, same thing. In safe mode, look at the difference in movement. Okay, that's because you're gonna have limited bank angles, pitch, and roll to prevent you from flipping all the way over with safe. Now, if you want auto leveling, but you want to minimize the pitch and bank resistance, you can open up those windows if you go into the advanced setup and forward programming and blow out the factory defaults, and then you can set it up yourself, okay? Now, some of these receivers require you to hook up with a programming cable so that you can update the firmware, so then you can tap into AS3X Plus, which is just basically AS3X with more features and a little bit better refined performance, okay? That's all I'm gonna talk about right now because I don't know any better. And one of the differences between me and some of our competitive peers on YouTube is that I'm just gonna straight up tell you if I don't know, because I don't wanna give a good name to something that I don't trust. And I don't want to give a bad name to something that works fine, okay? I don't know nothing about any of it yet. I just know it exists, okay? I haven't even updated the firmware on my transmitter. You wanna know why? Because I don't need more than 10 channels yet. But you probably will, and it makes a great value out of something like the NX70, by the way. I can't believe they did it actually, but I am really glad they did. This is what you would use for most. I ripped mine off like an idiot. Okay, so this will plug into the programming port, then this plugs into your PC, and yes, I said that PC, not Apple. If you have a Macintosh or an Apple, I don't even know if they're Macintosh anymore, then you're just gonna have to get an emulator and hope to God it works. I don't know what to tell you. Please don't beat me up. I don't care what you use for computers. It doesn't matter to me in my life, except for the fact that I have to listen to Mac users complain about PCs all the time. I complain about PCs too, and I still use them. Just what? I'm just saying, at least iOS doesn't charge Patreon usage 30%. They just started charging everybody 30%. So dumb.
Yeah.
What has Apple done to earn anything?
You should get your calipers while you're here so we can do CG before we run out of battery.
But I could say the same thing about YouTube. What have they done?
Yeah, no kidding.
You know, they get 30% of your super thanks. Thanks, Google. 30%.
True.
And, I mean, stuff costs money, I get it, but it seems a little greedy.
A little much.
Super thanks, Google. Calipers. Why are we using calipers? What do we need that for? So that we can mark the center of gravity. Now, I'm gonna just be the first one to tell you, center of gravity on a 3D plane is gonna tend to be more tail heavy than it would be on a more conventional plane, okay? So we're looking for this page 9 in this case. It shows 90 to 104. Like it could have been 105. That would have been way too much.
It'll blow up in a million pieces. Hey, at least they did the math for us.
Yeah. Okay, so millimeters.
Where are you marking this?
I'm gonna mark it on the top of the wing,
Okay.
like I always do. So 90 to 104. Could you please not block my light? Thank you. So here's 90. Okay. So this is tapered ever so slightly. So you have to go to right here in the armpit of the wing, okay? And then if you come out, you have to open up a little bit, okay? So 90. That is hard to do, but it's right in the middle of the star. I'm gonna do the same thing here. $90 to 104. That's a lot of millimeters.
Mm-hmm.
This is where being picky comes in handy. And you have to have a little bit of an eye for detail. Now, what's 90 from 104?
We don't do math on camera.
What is it? 14.
Yeah.
I'm gonna double check my position. Close enough? Oh, better there. So this back hole is actually a little bit too far forward. Okay, good enough. I just expanded it. You're probably thinking to yourself, for God's sake, Brian, all you had to do was do it over here where you can't see. Nope, I actually wanted to see it. Why did I want to see it, folks? Because A, I don't like searching for the center of gravity. I don't even test the center of gravity most of the time once I know what battery size is used. And I mark it inside the canopy so that I don't have any problems. In this case, not the canopy, it's up at the front hatch, okay? So if you're anything like me, you're gonna want to mark that it uses a 3200 or a 2200 4S, or in some cases 5000. They had it as a recommended choice. That seems like a huge pack to me, okay? Is there anything wrong with using a bigger battery? I have no problem with it, but you're gonna have a hard time getting the CG right, in my opinion. So this is 3200. Throttle cut is on and tested. Okay, so now I can grab this plane. I'm gonna put it upside down. Okay. So on the back holes, tail heavy. Front holes, tail heavy. Were you asking me, why am I marking the top of the wing? Why did I mark the top of the wing? That was dumb.
Well,
I should have marked the bottom of the wing. Well, that's fine. I can tell where the center of gravity is. It's tail heavy right now.
still tail heavy.
Yeah. So the big battery, we're gonna try to slide it up into this cavity. Oh yeah, there's a lot of room up there.
Yep.
Pretty sure I just changed it a lot. Okay. Now technically it's a pretty symmetrical plane anyway. You can test it up or down. It's just, I should have marked the bottom. I don't know what I was thinking, mark on the top. So on the front holes, we're tail heavy. On the back holes, we're even. That's actually where I want it to be. I would not want it a lot less than that. I guess we're gonna be doing 3200 all the way forward. But if you wanna fly more tail heavy, then you're gonna get more 3D performance out of a plane because it can make it more pitch sensitive on the elevator. But you might need to mute your sticks a little bit. So 3,200 all the way forward. That is probably a good thing for me. Now, I need to say this now and not forevermore, because people's tastes do change, including mine. I like a lot of planes that I didn't think I was gonna like, okay? That's the line right there, 3,200. And I like to show which direction the wires go, okay? 3,200 4S, okay? Right? And that's gonna be all the way to the front. And that's gonna give us, you know, close to tail heavy, but not out of the range, okay? So it's gonna be like factory recommended CG without being real nose heavy, okay? If you're flying your 3D planes nose heavy or close to the nose heavy status, you're gonna be getting a less intense 3D experience in most cases, okay? Again, that is a preference issue.
Which, do you want to finish what you were saying about your taste can change, but...
Your taste can change, but I just need you guys to understand something. No matter how awesome this plane is, I'm still not a 3D aficionado. I never will be. It's not my cup of tea, but you know what my cup of tea is? Scale aircraft and aircraft in general. And I can tell you this, that the idiosyncrasies of the pilot community can really undermine people's joy in the hobby. And so don't let other people's opinions of your flying skills, techniques, styles, preferences, take anything away from you. Don't let them take that from you. There's no reason that it has to be a good old boys club and whatever Johnny says is the only way that you can fly. That is foolishness at the heart of foolishness. RC aviation and RC generally, in general, all types of it, is all about the freedom to do something that most people are not going to ordinarily be able to do. And it's so cool to have this experience. So if you're a 3D aficionado and you love it and people are like, oh, I don't think you should use a stabilizer. I don't care what they think. Use whatever gets you in the air and gets you onto the ground safely. Now, I don't want you to use a crutch if you don't need it, but safe is not really a crutch for most because most people get sick of using it and they want to move away from it as quick as possible. And I remember I got some good advice from a guy at a hobby shop once, and he said, get out of safe as quick as you can, okay? Safe is a great tool. Auto leveling is going to get you in the air. And if you never do get out of it, I think you're still better off flying in safe than you are not flying without, okay? So just because other people advance through the ranks faster doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It's all about how long you spend using this thing and these things or these things to get good at it, because a lot of it comes from muscle memory and practice. If you're not practicing, you're gonna advance slow. If you dink around at the airfield instead of flying, you're gonna advance slower. If you don't have a good simulator on your computer, and yes, I mean a PC, not a Mac, you should probably seriously consider getting something like RealFlight. It doesn't have to be RealFlight. RealFlight has been good for us. It helps you to learn muscle memory. It is a tool. It is not perfect. It is not a video game, in my opinion. Of course, they want to sell it as a video game because there's more market for it. But the truth is, it is a tool that's used by people that need a tool, not by kids that want a video game. There's a million better video games than RealFlight. I'm sorry. I know video games to a certain extent. I'm not an aficionado, but I know them. I would not play RealFlight as a video game. I would play something else as a video game. But when I want to learn to do something that's very real and hard and expensive in real life, then I go to those things, okay? My 2 cents. You guys get to weigh in all you want. Leave them in the comments below. Let us know what we screwed up in this video. Let us know what your thoughts are about our Chinese pilot here. Yes. Woo! There you go. Let us know about the wood prop. Let us know about the size. Let us know what you think of the livery. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And by the way, I gotta say, E-flite, you've done a good job. This thing feels light. It's obviously not sub 250. So let us know how bad you hate remote ID. That certainly won't stir up any hornet's nests. And at the end of the day, if you think we need to do something a little different, let us know. Constructive criticism is always appreciated as long as it's constructive and not just mean-spirited. We've been lucky to have a great group of people in our audience. I do feel like this tail is not very square though. It's kind of weirds me out. I wonder if I stuck it in the hole a little bit out of, I don't know how I would have done it off center. I mean, I don't know.
Kind of only went in
there's
one
only one way.
Yeah.
So if there's something that I would recommend that we did that I would recommend you do different, it would be to dry fit that. It's going to make it easier to slide in those. And then my middle hinge was like flim-flamming around, which made it hard. The other thing is when you put the CA on there, once you get it in there, if you just let it set up and then you go to break it free, it'll break free. It's generally the CA is not going to go in and set the hinge. But I just want you guys to understand that I can't stop that from setting your hinge still. And you got 3 of them. So you have like a bunch of contact points there. And if you get glue in all 3 of them, it could be actually kind of hard to break it free. But with CA, you can pull it out. You just got to pull really hard. I'm serious. And if you use China glue, it'll work fine too. But just remember, don't get the China glue in there. It'll actually be probably worse because it's sticky. Okay?
Yeah. Got like 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. So that's pretty much all the details I want to leave in this. Hopefully our Unbox Build radio setup did you some good justice. It's going to help you make decisions on how to set up the transmitter if you needed help. It's also going to help you set up the build and the order of attack, and also give you an idea of how much this thing is worth to you. Because really at the end of the day, we serve our RC audience here, and not necessarily manufacturers we work with. Although we do really like Horizon, we like the Spectrum products, we like the E-flite line. It's some of the best you can get. And if you're entry level, don't start with cheaper, because cheaper is not generally better. It's harder to fly. It's harder to set up, and you're going to have a less likelihood of a successful outcome.
Yep.
We don't say that because we're trying to make a buck. We don't care. You can buy the cheaper stuff and we still make a buck if you help us, okay? But we want you guys to have the best possible experience. Believe me, it makes a big difference. Good experiences when you're young will lead to better experiences when you're old in the hobby, okay? I can speak to personal experience on that. All right, that's all we got for you today. Guys, this is your call to get out of the chair and get in the air. And here on Brian Phillips RC, we're going to help you do it. So we hope you're here with us for the long haul. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to smash the like button if you haven't already, and buy one of these from the links in the video description below. Best way to support Brian Phillips RC and the fact that our kids have been sitting in their rooms desperately playing video games for the last however many hours this is. So thanks for watching. Remember, this is a family act of kindness from our family to yours. We love this hobby. We want you guys to enjoy it. And we're here for you, not for the manufacturers. But like I said, we do like this one. So stay tuned. So much more right around the corner on Brian Phillips RC. Thanks for watching.